Hey guys, this is E.A. Koetting on with LD Alchemist. We're here to talk about Black Light Alchemy. Now, Black Light Alchemy is a new release that's going to be coming out through Become a Living God that features LD Alchemist and all, well, I'm not going to say all of your amazing gifts because I know you've got a lot more up your sleeve, brother. But this is, I'm actually like blown away with how much you actually brought to the table with the actual techniques that you're teaching, the full lifestyle conversion that you're doing. But give people like an overview. What is Black Light Alchemy? What are they looking at?
Well, thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate it. And this has been a journey in the making. But Black Light Alchemy for me has really come down to is kind of the streamlined process in which I went through my evolution through magic. And it's been a 10-year journey, but I've learned some pretty big highlights that have helped me be able to like enhance my life really proficiently and very quickly and execute things. But there's also things that, you read in this book and it's just a bunch of BS, dogma, propaganda. And so I really was just kind of like a streamlined process of some of the favorite entities that have helped affect my life and changed me to the core from someone who didn't really have any ambition to just like be more successful, to love who I am inside and out. And that's from like what you see in the mirror physically as well as internally, because as within, so without. And also really having to deal with those skeletons in your closet. And not only like dealing with it, but being cool and fine with it, and realizing you have this light and dark. It's not just light, just dark, because if you get off balance, it throws you off course. So this whole entire process helps you finally see your self-worth, the limitlessness of the human construct within, and whether that's a goal you have to go after or where you want to get physically or working on your psychic abilities, whatever it is, you're going to be able to increase that. Then getting through all those blockages in your past, and each of these break down into pillars. And then the final pillar, and this one's called the illumination pillar, is then you're going to work with different beings that will help you get more into like the nature shamanism energy of being understanding like the sacredness of that, as well as implementing finding your passions. Because as you love yourself, you're going to find out what your true passions are versus what the world's passion is that's been placed upon you. And also being able to shine forth. Like if you had fears about going after what you really desire, well, when you love yourself, you're not going to be afraid, and you're also not going to care how much waves or crashes happen because you're going to stand sovereign in who you are. So by the time you hit this fourth pillar, you're going to not only know more of what you like, but you're going to find out how to become more efficient and effective in it. And that doesn't matter what it is for you, because these entities and beings that I have within this course are going to help you perfect that no matter what it is, because it's about you becoming more efficient and effective, not about following what I'm doing. And so throughout this whole process, there's different things, whether if you want to be on a pillar for 30 days, or whether you want to be on it for 15 days, whatever it is that works for you, do that. But the process is going to help you evolve and change, so then you can become that sovereign being that you are and be able to accomplish what you want to. And that's the synopsis about.
Well, a couple of big things that I want to touch on, but I'm gonna list them here. But so one is the loving yourself, and you said the person you're seeing in the mirror, but then a lot of and so I want to kind of talk to you about some of the specifics and maybe even give away some freebies right here about some things people can do. Another thing you said is accepting, not just acknowledging that you've got these hideous aspects of yourself, or for myself, I know that there are points. Even recently, as recently as I'd say like a year ago, moments that I was terribly ashamed of doing, ways I behaved and treated people that I love poorly, and just these things that are shameful. And I'd like to talk to you a bit about some of your insights on being able to not just look at that, but to accept it and maybe love that part of yourself. But And then I want to talk to you about pillars. But first, tell me about this journey, because it sounds like you were on a journey of this internal alchemy yourself. Did you understand what it was while you were doing it, or did you get to the end of it and then look back and go, oh shit, I see the path I just walked? Like, did you know you were walking this path as you walked it?
So when I was a child, and I get kind of into this in the book that comes with this, and it kind of talks about my past, where it all came from. And this is a kid, I remember always asking, can I pray for the fallen angels? Can I have a relationship? And I always loved the dark aesthetics, like Spawn, and always just the dark things from like a very young age, like 3 years old, 4 years old. And I always felt a calling, but as you find out, like I go through the hardcore Catholicism, going down those paths, but then eventually there's always this internal feeling like I have to do more. This isn't enough. My cup's not being fulfilled. And so it's like as I entered into the magic and did all that, it's like I always felt a part of me. This was a part of my calling, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was just following the what I felt like I had to do within, because sometimes, when you feel like you have to do a ritual with this specific entity, it's just burning on your mind. And if you don't do it 2 weeks later, it's still on your mind. And whether that's that or an emotion within and it's something I have to get done, I don't like it when anything weighs on me. So I'm just like, I'm getting it done. And so it's always been a process, but I will say, as you're going through the process, like synchronicities and stuff, you will see those things, but sometimes you don't understand, other than the fact that you're on the boat going in the direction you're supposed to go. Other than that, you don't really know what the hell's going on, but you're on the boat.
Yeah, no, I had a guy that's a business person in the area, and is just like a normal dude, not into magic at all. And I told him what I do for a living, and then he gave him my links and whatever. And he went and checked me out. And then the next time we talked, he says, how I'd describe you. This guy's all into psychology and stuff. He says, how I describe what you do is you're a lightning rod. You catch the lightning, and you let it zap you, and then you go back and report on what you experience. You kind of fine tune the experience of what that lightning feels like and how to get it to zap you in just the right way. But you're out there holding a lightning rod and just getting zapped. But that is really how it is. There's no way of really, like, at least the closest I've ever come to being able to like map these things as I go, I think, was with the Gatekeeper, the 3-year Gatekeeper experience, because I was like writing the book as I went through the experiences. But it is almost always like after you've been tossed through the storm, you land on some beach, you're naked and fucking dehydrated. That's when it's like, oh, okay, I see the route that I used to get here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is always, hindsight's 2020, and that's with everything in life. But the process itself, just those little bits of gold and the breadcrumbs to bring you along. I feel like when you're on that divine path, whatever the path may be, that does happen. I mean, that's when you know.
Yeah. Now you have organized this and structured it with, like you said, with pillars. That these are it's really a beautiful term, the pillars of these experiences. First, what brought you to that term, and how many pillars are these? Because these are like, I mean, I would almost see them as like almost initiations, into each degree. How do you see it?
So that's actually pretty spot on. I thought of pillars because when I think about this course, I don't think about just whatever skill you want to become more efficient in, or skills to become more efficient in, but also as pushing your body like an Olympian, to becoming a black light Olympian. So when I see the pillars, I kind of like have the blacklight Olympus, and so I see these pillars into this great house. And so when you go through and work these pillars, you're increasing within your temple this fire, and that fire is all your desires, all of your ambitions, all this stuff within you, that when you wake up in the morning, you're pumped up for the day. And for me, like, one of the things I had to transmute was the loss of my father. Instead of being sad and upset, now don't get me wrong, it still hurts, but I use that pain and transmute it into fire to go harder in my runs, to become even more brighter of an individual here on this plane and do things that would, show honor instead of, oh, maybe I should have been this person better, should have did this. There's really throwing that all into the fire too and just letting it all go. But it is that transmutation. So like the first pillar is the master or master's pillar. And that pillar is going to be, more of you focusing on yourself. And as you love yourself, and I'm going to give a freebie here. Salos, who's the first entity I ever worked with outside of angels. And it was because of his pacifist nature. And honestly, he's hilarious. I love him so much. And he helps you change your astral form. And I didn't know that till I was working like years down the line. I realized what the hell happened during all these synchronicities. But whether that's a dragon, whether that's a unicorn, whether that's something only you can imagine and see in your mind's eye, you can work on your astral form. And that also is going to affect how people around you are going to see you. Because, even though they just see the third dimension, what you have around you is going to add to that too, as well as how you see yourself and hold yourself with confidence. And so, like, once you master yourself more, then you go into the healing and reframing, and that's what you're going to learn about, bettering your inner temple, whatever that may entail, from energy to food, whatever it is for you, and getting your mind kind of like the computer, you doing a big quick reset and only keeping all the documents you need, having that new mindset. And then you go to the domination and power. And that's where it's like, if you want to gain power, you got to accept what you've already done and be happy about it. And also realize it's a part of your journey and your soul's evolution, instead of being stuck once again inside of that same old cycle. You got to empower yourself with all the bad shit you had to do. Sorry, cuss. But, whatever it may be. And then that's where you can become illuminated. And so I just had it as this 4 pillars. And then there is a last, after the 4 pillars are done, I have one video kind of just letting you realize that this is about like breaking down and chipping away to make you the sculpture you want to be. But that's not where the journey ends. Once you become who you want to be, then you can go forward in your everyday life and just freaking dominate it by not being afraid. And why you're doing what you're doing. And it's a higher self connected to the 5D connected to the 3D. That's the way I see it. And it's an overlay, as well as, as you're working with this, you're going to, and I was going to break down kind of the group right, if that's cool right now.
Yeah.
And without ado, so with the Blacklight Fire of Olympus, there's that fire I was talking about. Now you can just get the course and you can build up your own fire. But if you want a kickstart,
wait, just let me pause you right there. So with this course, this is like several hours. I can't remember, like 6, 7, 8 hours. How many hours did you have?
I think there is 4.5.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. It seemed like there's so much information there. It seems like 6, 7, or 8 hours.
It is a lot, and that's the thing with it too. I wanted to keep adding, but I also realized as you do things in pillars, it's a focus you can work on, so you can become a part of your life instead of do this, do this, do this. So then it can become a balance, and that's like as you go through the pillars, you don't have to do the same thing in the first one, but if you want to hold on to that, or keep doing it for the rest of your life, then hop aboard that. These are techniques that are not only going to help you like work on those different things inside, but it's also going to open up your mind to realize that these are just different things that will awaken you to the more reality of what there is out there, Like there's only so much you can put into one course. So you just want to be able to give that fire, and like that's kind of what that book's about too.
Yeah,
it's just
and that's what you got the ebook that's tagged along with this, so you can have kind of an instruction manual to follow through with the video course. But it is really the underlying thing is about the ignition of this inner fire, and
yes.
So and obviously you can do the instructions and you can follow along and do this yourself. It is the long path up the mountain. The short path up the mountain, if you want to take the elevator, is this ritual you're talking about, this group right?
Yeah, and it's a fire that about 6 months ago, I built this astral temple with Lugala Beta, and he is one of the big caliber that helped me create everything and dialed this course down to what it is. He's been there at my side this whole time. And we built this fire with all the beings that are within this course. I summoned them all forth together, and they all put their energy into this fire, this astral matrix. And I put it within the astral temple, and it's been ignited ever since. And I've used my radionics boxes to enhance the energy from the sun to different planetary energies, what just different things to just encompass this whole entire fire. And it's been going on for about 6 months. And when I'm going to have this fire, I'm not only going to instill that within each individual, but also each person that signs up for this rite is going to get some Lugala Beta Burr black armor. And this armor will go over your astral body. And whatever psychic abilities you have, they will be enhanced. You'll be able to get and become more efficient in that, becoming more clairvoyant, clairaudient, whatever it is, your skills, as well as it has its own life to its own. Now, it doesn't have to, but your imagination is where the countless, endless possibilities are. Like, it can become and entrenched like with other abilities that you already have. So during rites, it itself is a power that can help you out, as well as just being there for protection and keeping you all fired up. But that fire is going to just push you forward into igniting into a new person, and then having that armor on top of it. And I'm going to also ask Satanchi as well as Azazel to be present during the ritual and adding their fire to the ritual as well. And during that last week before I bring it up, go up to the ritual, I'm going to have them having their own radionics box as well. And I'm going to have myself have Lugal Beta Burr energy blasted into me, so I become Lugal Beta Burr during the ritual to be able to do everything and add that fire to each person. But it's going to be a really big way to be able to just kind of become that Blacklight Olympian, and then you're just going to start getting rid of all the baggage and everything else that's going to hold you back from becoming the individual you need to be here on this plane.
Do you get, I forget, do you get specific into radionics in this course?
I do not. No,
okay, all right, because I know it's a big influence for you and that you're using it a lot. So that is something we were just talking before we started recording. We're going to be working on a project. Everybody, keep looking out for it. So yeah, but no, cool. This is really going to light that Olympian fire. And you know, it's interesting as you were talking about the pillars and the building of this Blacklight Olympia. I mean, I'm thinking about. The mountains Mashu, you know, I'm thinking about these black mountains of madness that are rising, and it is the one of the things that Baal told me is you build the kingdom by building the king, and that's exactly what you're doing here. Is you're you know, because you know, almost everybody comes at magic because we want a different life, we want different experiences, and so you've really found the inner mechanisms of the things you need to change within yourself to make that start to happen.
Exactly. And actually in the illumination pillar, there is working with Hercules, another aspect, energy form of Baal. Mm-hmm. And that is absolutely when it comes down to it. Because once you do take a firm stance as a king, and then you know your vision, nothing stands in your way. And that's when you find who's joining the empire, who's being moved aside, and then what needs to happen. Is this a battle, destruction, or will you move aside? You know, what needs to happen?
Yeah. And then with the you know, the topic of like looking at your least, like the things you don't like about yourself, or the, you know, from me, I think the biggest thing would be like moments that I'm ashamed of, things that I've done that I'm ashamed of. And those can be difficult to transmute. I'll tell you what, like you were talking about your father and the experience of transmuting that pain. Yeah. And yes, I got to walk a fine balance, I feel like, with this, because like I can find myself really easily like overcompensating, like calling the person that I blew up at a year ago and being like, calling them over, hey, I'm so sorry, do you forgive me, are we okay, are we, that kind of like needy overcompensation. And so I've got to kind of back off with that a lot. And sometimes just sit with it and go, yeah, I fucked up. That
Mhm.
sucks. I made the wrong choices. I made the and actually just sitting with that pain of my own shame, it's healthy. You know, that
Yep.
because the instinct is to look away. The instinct is not to want to sit with uncomfortable things. But even like you've seen, you can take those uncomfortable things, and they're so uncomfortable that it's uncomfortable to the bone. And so you can get your body moving. Go for a run. Go for a walk. Use
Mhm.
that to somehow. That's one big thing is like use the energy of the thing is telling you what to do. It's trying to move your body. It's trying to move your mind. Sometimes like I'll just get an impulse to just go sit and read like a Dean Koontz fiction book out of nowhere, and it's like my mind was needing a break. You know, sometimes
Yeah.
I go on a walk or a run or go lift weights or go swing a sword in the backyard. Whatever it is that like, yeah, I think if you break down the boundaries and you start listening to yourself, you'll be able to know exactly what to do because your energy is telling you. But
Yeah.
there are a lot of boundaries, and that's exactly what I think you're doing here. Is you're teaching people how to get out of their own way and remove their own obstacles out of their path.
Yeah, absolutely. And because I do find that, I mean, for myself, and I know you're like this too, very expressive, and one could say, could it be to the detriment? I kind of gave up giving a shit about if it's the detriment or not, because I was like, if I go in full out, it can be too much for some people, but like, I don't care. Like, I got it out of me. I got to be who I wanted to be. And realizing, like for places I have had to work at, it's usually pretty much a battle for the first year, 2 years, getting discharged 3 times, getting back every time, and whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, then it becomes like you're seen in a different way. So it's like maybe it's not the quote easiest path, but it's the only path I would ever want to choose because you stand firm, you stand authentic, and you're not gonna bow or bend to anything. And that's so huge. It really has helped out tremendously. And also with the group right, another entity before I start anything, for every single person I call on for Tosh to be able to get rid of any soul contract that you have outside of yourself that was before your incarnation, or even things you didn't know you're saying, because even a small soul contract, someone could be saying, oh, they feel poor and not good enough, and then you saying, oh, me neither, X, Y, and Z. You're affirming that for your own self. And I mean, you might seem like a small thing, but those small things do build up. So getting rid of those soul contracts is also going to help you be able to remove any extra weight that weren't even aware of, to also love yourself more, because I've seen in my own life the difference before and after different soul contracts, and it's helped me out tremendously, and also love myself more than not have to hold on to that weight, because we do all have to go through different experiences here. And like I said, it was my dad to my sister to all these people who I've had to deal with these pains, but it's not about having it to be a scar to be painful. It's about a scar to fire you up.
Mm.
And realizing, yeah, sitting there in that darkness saying, yeah, I made a mistake. Yeah, I goofed up. Yeah, I could have did this better. But who cares? What is now is who you can become. And then you use that fire going forward. And I do believe, as people do see the limitlessness in which we are as human beings and the potential that we can do, that you're going to realize all the small stuff really doesn't matter. And you can take a hold of your life now and really become what you want, and just quit letting the world try to put us inside these boxes, because the only
Yeah.
way we can fight back the system is by really fighting back, becoming a freaking king or queen we need to be.
Yeah, one little thing that really helped me and still helps me, like every time I'm struggling with how I see myself, is trying to see myself in the same way that I see my daughter, and just like, she messes up. It's like I'm like, oh, what were you going through? What's going on? Yeah, because almost every time with that kid, if there's something getting messed up in her life, it's because there's some anxiety, there's some trauma going on. There's something bubbling up there, and it's like, well, what's going on? And so to look at myself with that same light, especially in the past, and go, with just like a compassionate view, just looking at myself with like super compassion, especially like looking in the past, anytime I've been, because that's another thing is usually when you're not acting your best, there's not, it's not just that one thing. There's some deep stuff coming out. There's some deep stuff bubbling up. And so to look at yourself with compassion and go, you know, that's yeah. Rather than blame. I think those are the two sides of the thing I'm seeing is I can either blame myself or I can go, oh, you know, that sucks that I was in that bad of a place and I'm so glad I'm not there anymore. You know?
Yes, exactly. And as you have compassion for yourself, then you can give it to others, you know, and I do see that about the world. Like there is obviously, you have to be a warrior and standing strong in what you believe in and always have your sword and your sheath right there. But you don't walk in saying, hey, look at me, I got this sword and sheath, you know, as people, no, you walk with grace and that compassion and really bringing that light, whether it's picking up that trash and you're out at a park, doing something for the nature spirits, whether that's opening a door for someone, smiling at them and saying, hey, have a great day. And like just something small like that, like things like that can truly add up. But there is obviously that perfect balance, you know, you want to have that compassion.
Sorry to cut you off. Let's talk about this nation. I can't not talk to tell this story to people and get your thoughts on it. I had a guy out here for a boot camp. I had a few people out here. There was one guy that had a lot of stories about who he was. He was a reincarnated form of this and that and the other, and everybody, he doesn't understand why nobody sees his power and sees how great he is. Everybody thinks he's an asshole and he doesn't get it. So I take this group of people out to the forest and we go up in the mountains and I take them to this big flat rock. It looks like a giant sacrificial stone. And so we all go sit on there and I'm like, you know, out here is if you pay attention, you can you're not going to see them, but you can feel that there are beings out here that are alive, nature spirits. You know that I mean, even the trees themselves are alive, and the plants are alive. There's a whole mycelium network of fungus underneath the ground that's alive and communicating. You can, if you just quiet yourself, you can get in tune with them. And everybody's doing this great, just oh yeah. And we start doing this invocation of these nature spirits, and this dude starts reaching in his backpack, pulls out a can of beer that he just had in his backpack, chugs it, crunches it up, and throws it on the ground, just off of the rock out into the weeds. And then he reaches in his backpack and just starts pulling out trash from the other day. Pooh. I'm all, dude, are you messing with me right now? What is going on here? And he's all, what? And I'm like, dude, we're invoking nature spirits. Do you think that they would want you coming into their home and throwing your trash all over the place? And he literally didn't even think about it. It didn't, until I said it, until I was like, everyone looked at him like, and it was like, dude, what are you doing? Until that moment, he didn't think that he was doing anything offensive to those spirits at all. And that is a really a major thing, you know. Even when the Vikings would roll up on their ships, the first thing that they would do if they had the first chance they got is that they would make sure that they were okay with the spirits of the land, because those will destroy you. You can overthrow a nation, you can overthrow a king, but if you're not right with the spirits of the land, you're dead. And so but and I know you know you're. I don't know if you would consider yourself an environmentalist, but I know that you do think you're mindful about what each individual can do to maybe help the environment and just not do that kind of. But just to riff on that for a minute, what are your thoughts on those kind of simple actions that could offend those spirits, and what consequences could those be? And then on the other hand, like picking up a piece of trash that you see, like these are they seem like simple things, meaningless things, but they're not meaningless.
Yeah, and well, first, I mean, this is just popping in my head, but I see working with the spirits and being, you know, respectful. Like when you walk into nature, you're treating it sacred, and the sacredness of the bird flying by right at the perfect time, and then you being able to see that rabbit, or just seeing these beauties and the energies of it, and really having that just renownedness for it, like how amazing it is. And I feel like if you are throwing trash everywhere, it's going to be like Pocahontas, and the roots are going to pop up. You're going to trip. You're going to have other instances where I feel like it's like a karma that adds on to it, whether that's you tripping, stumbling, or a boulder it seems like comes out of nowhere. I feel like the cards, in a sense, do stack against you. Like for me, actually, when I go on runs, I run in the grass. because it's healthy for your feet and everything else. And
You went barefoot grass?
I wear my toe shoes, so as barefoot as I can. I would be cool to go all the way, barefoot, but I do go on the side of the road. Sometimes there's bottles and stuff. But I do see is like I've picked up trash, and if my feet weren't feeling good before the run, I asked actually the grass spirits to help heal my feet as I'm running. And by the end of the run, as I'm doing both things, cleaning up trash simultaneously, maybe it's all psychology, maybe it's a coincidence. I don't think so. I do find healing and empowerment with that. And so I do see treating that with the utmost respect is not going to help out the planet, because the planet's alive too. And it's like, do you want the cosmos or the planet energy of the earth behind you, or do you want to be fighting it? Are you trying to come to this planet and bring that positive change and refreshing, that renewal, the way that Beelzebub really is supposed to be seen, that new spirit of things? Or do you want to bring that destruction and just treating it like trash and treating it like how the illusion likes to tell us that the plants and just wasting things are? So I think if you have that respect on the outside there, it's also going to go into your life inside of the other aspect of it, as the way you treat other people, as you treat your home environment, how you treat your car, in the sense of, do you just let things get picked up like trash and just not care about it? Or are you keeping things consistently, as clean as it can be? Obviously, there's sometimes during the week I'm like, I'll clean that up later. And learned that from my dad. But it's really, how do you want to move forward in your life? And I do believe if you treat respect nature, that's going to go into every other aspect of your life completely.
Yeah, and it is, because the point that I'll get down about it is like, it doesn't matter if I pick up that trash. There's companies throwing oil into the oceans, and China's doing this, and India's doing this, and da 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 da. It's all out of my control. But there, for me, it's like, it's the energy. It's, again, it comes back to energy. It's in picking that up and going, okay, well, I'm going to do the little thing that I can do. I'm seeing a piece of trash. This is literally in my backyard. I'm going to pick this up and throw it away. And it is just like an energy versus the energy of just wastefulness of, I'm just going to throw this, the whole world is my toilet. Well, then you're living in a toilet.
Yeah. And actually, so when I was 19, I would be driving around 3 a.m., just reckless, going to stores. And I remember one time I had this donut box and like 10 different types of candies and drinks, and I ate it all with my buddy. And as we're driving down this road, we threw it out of the car, no care at all about it. And I realized back in those times, my car would always break down. Like every 3 weeks, my car would break down when I was living this reckless way. So it is about that energy that comes with you. And as I changed who I was, my car never breaks down at all because I'm picking up the trash, instead of doing that. So there is that aspect too in your life. You could regret what you've done. I could sit here and say, I wish someone did that. No, I'm happy I did that, because now I won't do that again. And I can remember who I was versus who I am now. And you just take that same concept in every aspect of your life, and you keep moving forward on your ship.
For sure. No, that's awesome. All right, bro, I'm going to jump off with you, but do you have any final words of inspiration for everybody?
Realize you are limitlessness, and you can do anything you want. And all you have to do is build that inside of your imagination, and then love yourself, and then you can accomplish it with reckless abandonment. Never give up.
Awesome. All right, guys, check out Blacklight Alchemy. This is going to be coming out mid-February on Become a Living God. We're going to hit you up with more details as we go. All right, awesome, brother. You have a good one.
Just take it easy, everyone.